Alright guys, Murph's here, and today I want to go over some NFA item definitions with you from the ATF. Now, something that's important to keep in mind with a lot of these definitions here, guys, is that the ATF frequently updates or changes how it is that they define different items. A lot of that has to do with political climate and all those types of things, which, if you don't like what it is that they're doing, I do encourage you to get involved politically. What's important to keep in mind for this discussion is that I am not any type of legal authority, nor does anything that I say, or should anything that I say, be misconstrued as legal advice. So one of the important things is that this is a snapshot in time. This information could change. There could be a brand new definition tomorrow. But for the moment, this is as accurate and up to date as I can make it. And if you're looking at getting involved in these types of items, or you're concerned that you're already involved in these types of items, you should go ahead and look this up for yourself, perhaps contact a lawyer, get some legal representation involved. All right, so with that being the case, let's go ahead and hop into our definitions. Now, I have talked a little bit previously about short-barreled rifles and 3 points of contact pistols. Today, I want to take a more expansive look at the overall definition in terms used. So, first off, what is a rifle under the ATF definition? And keep in mind, guys, I'll roll in either across the screen or in the description what the actual legal jargon is involved. These will kind of be the definitions according to Murph. So make sure you guys take a look at that legal jargon and keep yourselves up to date on what it is that's happening. But a rifle is a weapon system intended to be fired from the shoulder with a rifled bore and has a barrel of 16 inches or longer. Okay, so that's a rifle. What is a shotgun? A shotgun is a weapon system intended to be fired from the shoulder, which has a barrel of a length not less than 18 inches and fires multiple projectiles, all those types of things. What is a pistol? A pistol is a weapon system that's intended to be fired with one hand and is in possession of a rifled bore. All right, so we got the three kind of core things that everyone pretty much interacts with at some point during the day, right? So if that's the case, what's in any other weapon? Well, any other weapon is an interesting catch-all category. And any other weapon is a weapon system that is this comes down to what something is chambered in. So if it is a smoothbore barrel is less than 26 inches in overall length, not necessarily intended to be fired from the shoulder, it isn't any other weapon. So like a Serbu Shorty kind of falls in the AOW category. It also is a weapon that does not necessarily look like a firearm and can be easily concealed. So like pen guns or cane guns, those are considered to be any other weapons. Combination firearms of less than 18 inches in length are also considered to be AOWs. And then if you take an AR pistol, which meets or a 3 points of contact pistol that meets the legal requirements. So the barrel is less than 16 inches. However, it is not in possession of a stock, meaning it's not intended to be fired from the shoulder. But it has a vertical grip on the front. It is now considered to be in any other weapon. Now, the length is greater than 26 inches. It does not fall into the any other weapon category. Interesting little trade-off there, right? This is meant to be the overall catch-all category that is still an NFA item. But we'll notice based off of that legal jargon, there's a couple of things that don't quite match up, and that is specifically looking at things like the Mossberg Shockwave or the Remington TAC-14. Now, these weapon systems are smoothbore barrels. They are not rifled. They take shotgun cartridges. They're able to fire multiple projectiles with a single pull of the trigger from a single cartridge. However, and by the way, so far our description lines up with shotgun, but they're not intended to be fired from the shoulder, and the barrel is less than 18 inches. So does this fall into the category of short-barreled shotgun? Does it fall in the category of AOW? And technically, it does not fall into either, because specifically with the Mossberg Shockwave and the Remington TAC-14s, those are 14-inch barrels, which in conjunction with their bird's head grips that are combined with them, they exceed 26 inches in overall length. So it doesn't fall into the SBS category, and it doesn't fall into the any other weapon category. What does that fall into at that point? These weapon systems fall into a category referred to as firearm, which is an even broader overall catch-all, which is interesting that you would have a catch-all within the catch-all at that point. And that is how you're able to own the Shockwaves and the TAC-14s and anything else that falls along, that might come out in the future that falls along the same overall category, because they fall into the category of firearm. Technically, if I understand this correctly, and feel free to correct me in the comments if this is the case, an AR pistol greater than 26 inches with a vertical foregrip falls into the same overall category, because it doesn't necessarily fall into the perfect definition of pistol and or rifle based on overall length. Now, there's a couple of things that impact this overall. Where is overall length measured from? That is measured from the operable portion of the firearm. So in the case of an AR-15, it's measured from the end of the buffer tube to the end of the threaded portion of the muzzle, not the flash hider, because the brace or stock or whatever it is that's attached to the weapon system and the flash hider are removable. You can change those out at any time, unless you pin and weld it, in which case that becomes the new manufactured end of the barrel. That's where you take the measurement from, but it has to be permanent. Same kind of deal in shotguns, permanent ends. Now, there's also certain things that play into this where it can never have been, a shotgun cannot have previously been designed to have been fired from the shoulder. So now we're kind of getting into an intent type deal, which can be very difficult to play with in legal terms, but it is an important aspect of many legal terms. So in the case of taking just any old random Remington 870, cutting the barrel down to 14 inches and cutting the stock off to a pistol grip is not going to constitute a firearm. You are actually manufacturing a short-barreled shotgun at that point, because the weapon system was originally meant and configured to be fired from the shoulder. It's not too different with pistol grips, only because if you had a pistol grip Remington 870, that model is configured in another form to be fired from the shoulder. So intent at that point. It was intended to be fired from the shoulder. It happens to have a pistol grip. It's a tricky little game to play, but it's very important in legalese. Now, in the case of, say, a Mossberg Shockwave, you do not want to modify the length of the Mossberg Shockwave at all, because then you might wind up landing in the category of any other weapon. That's an NFA item. It's controlled, and you're potentially in a lot of trouble. If somebody wants to get froggy about it, if somebody happens to come across your weapon system, you use it in self-defense or anything along those lines, they start asking questions, you're probably not going to like the results. So, like removing the bird's head grip from a Mossberg Shockwave, not a good idea. Modifying the weapon system at that point, it's a dangerous ground to get into. Now, what does any other weapon constitute at that point, as far as legal fees are concerned? Well, if you put together in any other weapon, you still have to submit the appropriate paperwork and pay a $5 fee. Well, that's not so bad. I mean, the wait time's going to, those vary and all that kind of stuff, and building versus buying are going to drastically impact that wait time. But at least it's not the $200 that a short-barreled shotgun or a short-barreled rifle would cost you. So you have that going for you at that point. In the case of firearm, you don't have any additional fees that go along with it. It's just like purchasing any other rifle, shotgun, or pistol at that point. You just have to keep in mind all the other legal aspects that play into it. All right, now what are my recommendations when it comes to firearms like the Mossberg Shockwave? Well, a lot of it comes down to what it is that you're wanting to get out of that system. Any other weapons are incredibly popular for breaching type setups on SWAT teams and for use by law enforcement and all that kind of stuff. So if you're doing a lot of that, a Mossberg Shockwave or a Remington TAC-14 might be a more cost-effective and time-efficient manner to be able to get into that type of situation, to be able to use it for those types of purposes. However, the average homeowner who's not necessarily breaching their own home in order to just come back from work, it may not necessarily be that advantageous to you, but you do get some of the short-barreled shotgun type aspects out of something like a Mossberg Shockwave, which being that it's more handy in a confined space and all those types of things. Now, something to keep in mind with that is that you still have to make sure that you get a lot of mass behind the shotgun in order to be, or behind the weapon, the firearm at that point, in order to be able to control it and make sure it doesn't come back and like pop you in the face or something like that. So space savvy, they're not necessarily. You may still have to get arms out at extension and all that kind of stuff, and there's still some barrel length that's exceeding past that. So they're not necessarily the greatest of confined space options, but it's also not a 28-inch barreled hunting shotgun. So you got that going for you. All right, guys, I think that pretty much covers my thoughts on this particular discussion. Nice short video for you today. If you enjoyed this content and you want to get more involved with some behind-the-scenes type stuff or maybe some discussions in like a forum type setting, go ahead and check out the Immerse Law Facebook page. I'll put the link in the description. And with that, that's pretty much what I got. Have a good day.